We begin at 6 o'clock with breaking news. A man accused of killing the founder of Las Palapas is back in Bexar County.
So just about 30 minutes ago, we learned that 39-year-old David Ruiz was taken to the Bexar County Jail by Kimball County deputies this afternoon.
That same source tells me he was supposed to be brought back next week, but Kimball County brought him back today, this afternoon. This all goes back to the deadly shooting of 78-year-old Ron Acosta on Tuesday. Since that murder, we've learned that Ruiz is Acosta's nephew. He was in town visiting from California.
So according to the arrest affidavit, Ruiz was picked up a short time after San Antonio police learned about Acosta's death when Kimball County deputies then pulled him over in Junction.
Of course, this is a developing story. As soon as we get more information, we'll bring it to you on air and online. It is the 4th of July Eve. A lot of us have barbecues and trips to the lake in mind. But before all that patriotic celebrating, some of us may deal with severe weather tonight.
Unfortunately, meteorologist Shelby Iwertowski is tracking when and also where those potential storms could develop. Shelby?
So we saw a little bit the last few days of just some isolated showers earlier in the afternoon, and we saw that. We're still seeing that. But if you're driving up to Austin or even Fort Worth or even to Houston, you're definitely going to want to look at the radar before you start driving. But zooming in on areas of Bexar County, still seeing some light rain drizzle throughout the last few hours. And this is relatively the quiet before the storm. Most of these areas that have the potential for rain already saw rain earlier today in areas near Leon Valley, about 0.05 or 1/10 of an inch. Some areas just near Medina Lake continuing to see 1/2 an inch. But tonight, we do have the potential for a flood watch. This is areas from mostly of the hill country. We do have that flood watch until 7 a.m. tomorrow morning. This does include Bandera County, Medina County, all the way through Junction, even going up into areas of North Texas. Once again, this is in effect until 7 a.m. tomorrow morning. I'll break down what you need to know and how that looks for Bexar County coming up in just a bit.
Thank you, Shelby. A prestigious private San Antonio high school currently being investigated for sexual misconduct allegations. Tonight facing a lawsuit. Back in May, the parent of a now former soccer player raising concerns about the culture at Central Catholic High School. KSAT Investigates got a copy of that lawsuit the family filed this morning.
And Daniela Ibarra has been covering that story since the beginning, and she's with us now to share what she's learned so far.
Yeah, so we got a copy of the lawsuit just this morning. The family is asking for several things. They say that the school should have done more to protect their son. In that 30-page lawsuit, they list several incidents where they say their son was bullied, harassed, and assaulted. And if we can move up a little bit, sorry. But this lawsuit, the records claim teammates put their genitals on the teen on several different occasions. The lawsuit says the teen had reported incidents to school staff, including being thrown in a locker. The family alleges there weren't any safety plans in place to prevent that. Records state the school knows or should have known that some traditions became what they call a culture of hazing on steroids. It's something the teen's father talked about when he did his first TV interview with KSAT Investigates back in May.
The sick, disgusting, deviant behavior that has taken place at Central Catholic High School is something that has been tolerated far too long by the staff, the executive administrators, as council, and at every level of the school.
By the way, we did reach out to Central Catholic earlier today. They said they hadn't seen a lawsuit, so they haven't responded yet to the allegations made.
So who's facing the accusations in this lawsuit? It's more than just the school, right?
Yeah, more than just the school. It's a couple of staff members. So we have Lee Hernandez, he's the principal, Edward Ibarra, who is the athletic director, and Bart Valerio, who is the soccer head coach, as well as three teammates of that teen.
Yeah, I also want to point out we're not mentioning the family's name because we want to protect the victim in this case.
Yeah, and same thing with the minor suspects because they are minors.
Yes.
Whenever there's a lawsuit, there's some kind of ask.
Yeah.
What is the family asking for?
So in the lawsuit, they're asking for $1 million in damages. They say it's to cover things like medical expenses for the teen as well as his brother because he witnessed some of the allegations that they listed in the lawsuit. Before this lawsuit was filed, though, when I had talked to the dad and their attorney, they said that they were actually asking for the soccer team to suspend, cease having a season for next season or even the next season after that.
Okay. Daniela, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks, Daniela. To other news, already charged with murder, a 19-year-old Kilo Kemiker is now facing a capital murder charge in connection to a deadly shooting in January. This latest charge, a new development in the killing of 39-year-old John Leonard on Oldham Drive in East Bexar County. Bexar County Sheriff's Office investigators say Kemiker shot Leonard multiple times. Leonard died shortly after. Sheriff Javier Salazar says Kemiker was already in jail and charged with murdering another man, Paul Bussell, on March 18th in broad daylight, also near Oldham Road. The sheriff describes Kemiker as, quote, brazen and having no fear, end quote. A minor also facing a murder charge in the Bussell murder case. Deputies say they believe there are 2 other suspects involved in this specific case. Anyone with information can call BCSO at 210-335-6000.
Just a tragic case here. More than a week after a 4-month-old baby girl died, investigators with San Antonio police are trying to find out what or even who caused the injuries that led to that baby girl's death.
Yeah, today her mother speaking publicly for the very first time to Erica Hernandez about her heartbreak and how she's fighting to get answers and fighting to keep her family together.
Just trying to be strong for my other children.
Jasmine Gonzalez Martinez says her life changed in a matter of weeks. Her 4-month-old daughter, Mia, died in June. Mia was born prematurely in February and spent those first 4 months in the NICU, along with her twin sister. Mia was released from the hospital at the end of May. A week later, she returned with a serious injury, one doctors ruled was not accidental.
They did an MRI and they told me that she had a subdural hematoma on the left side of her brain.
Jasmine says on June 4th, she left her baby with the caregiver. When she left to run errands, Jasmine says Mia was fine. She says when she returned home, Mia was sleeping. It wasn't until Jasmine held Mia that she noticed something wasn't right.
And I was trying to get her to wake up and open her eyes, but she wouldn't open her eyes.
Jasmine took Mia to the hospital where she would stay for 2.5 weeks fighting that brain injury until she was taken off life support. Mia died June 21st. Since then, Jasmine's world has been turned upside down. Her 3 other kids were taken by Child Protective Services, and she's currently only allowed supervised visitation. Jasmine says she fears for her family's future and is fighting to get her kids back.
I'm a good mom. I do everything that I can for my kids.
Now, SAPD is still investigating this case, but no arrests have been made. It's because of that we are not naming the caregiver, but court records we obtained do detail that that person does have a prior conviction for injury to a child. We have reached out, but have not heard back from them. This is an ongoing story we will continue to follow and update when new information is available. Erica Hernandez, KSAT 12 News.
Should it have been a surprise? The Loop 410 access road is where 15 cars were swept into Bidle Creek during a June 12th flood that killed 11 people. That access road is also apparently smack in the middle of a floodplain.
So that brings us to an important question. Why wasn't there more of a warning for drivers? Garrett Berger looks at a new report from the San Antonio River Authority into what happened there on Bidle Creek.
At about 5:20 in the morning on June 12th, our camera captured 2 cars being swept away off the westbound Loop 410 access road into Bidle Creek. Only a few minutes before the San Antonio River Authority, or SARA, estimates the water there was at its highest.
Just within a matter of seconds, it went from tire height to my window.
The River Authority's report estimates that the water on the 410 access road got to be about 2.3 feet deep. That's about right here. But video we have shows someone wading through about chest deep water, which on me, that's about 4 feet. And even on someone shorter, that's more than 3.
However, the River Authority also didn't take street or construction drainage into account. Sarah says rainfall in the upstream part of the watershed was consistent with a 100-year storm, a term indicating there's a 1% chance of it happening in a given year. But across the whole watershed, rainfall averaged out to less.
By the time it got down to the area near the frontage road, westbound frontage road, was between a 10 and 25-year runoff event.
But that access road is also squarely within the 100-year floodplain, shown on these draft maps on the River Authority website.
It was expected to break the creekway, or it's not unreasonable to expect it to because it's in the floodplain.
Correct. It's not unreasonable to expect because it is, that is part of the floodplain in that area.
But unlike the high water detection and warning system at Vicar Drive nearby, there's nothing like that where the cars were swept away on that 410 access road. Metzler says there are a lot of low water crossings that are also in the floodplain but don't have detection systems.
So we know it's in the floodplain, even though it's technically not a low water crossing. We know if Bidle Free floods, that road's going to flood. So why not put a gauge or some kind of warning device here?
That's a good question to ask the ownership of that particular area.
We tried. We emailed and left voicemails for a TxDOT spokeswoman twice this week asking about the lack of warning systems on the road. But she only referred us to a previous statement saying the drainage systems on state infrastructure function properly. It's important to emphasize that this was a historic event, bringing an extraordinary amount of rainfall in a very short period. The River Authority's technical assessment ends with a suggestion that, quote, roads adjacent to the floodplain should be evaluated for flood risk and considered for mitigation options, including high water detection. The TxDOT spokeswoman did not respond to our question of whether they're considering installing one. Garrett Berger, KSAT 12 News.
Amidst all this, the River Authority's technical assessment is not the final report. That's a reminder. The city hired an engineering firm to investigate exactly what happened. We're expecting an update on that process in about 2.5 weeks. We've got some breaking news we've learned just in the last half hour. San Antonio police helped ICE and Homeland Security make 7 arrests at a Northside seafood market. A source says the raid actually happened yesterday at Groomer's Seafood on McCullough. In a memo to the mayor and city council, city attorney Andy Segovia said SAPD complied with the request to help the feds in accordance with Texas law.
So now we're going to take things outside, give you a live look at the traffic. This shot specifically is at 410 at Jackson Keller. And look, couldn't be nicer out there at 610 as people probably get a head start on their holiday weekend. Tomorrow, America celebrates its 249th birthday, and with all things party, San Antonio is ready to celebrate. When is San Antonio not ready to celebrate? Never. The official celebration is going to be happening over at Woodlawn Lake, and that's where Zaria Oates is live there. She's there this evening with more on the 4th of July preparations and also festivities. All right, show us around, Zaria.
All right, we've got a lot going on here, and right now we're actually seeing some pretty good weather. It's a bit of a breeze right now, much better than we've seen earlier in the day. I'll walk you around, but this is an area that we are paying attention to as we're expecting some rain to come in late tonight and overnight. We've already got a stage set up here, and then we've also got some bounce houses coming in here and some different vendors all around the area. People are still coming in to set up their stuff, and people don't seem too concerned with the rain that we are expecting to get throughout the evening tonight and overnight. But we did want to talk to the Texas Department of Emergency Management just about what their preparedness looks like and what their boots on the ground efforts look like to make sure that San Antonians are safe, and hopefully we aren't seeing something like we saw in June.
We've deployed state emergency response resources across the threat areas. So those resources are mobilized and staged in the form of responders and personnel, boats and aircraft to ensure that should we get a phone call from local officials with a request for state assistance, we're able to quickly get those resources where they need to go.
And one of the things we're making sure we're staying on top of is what that weather looks like and what that flood water might look like later tonight as it starts to get darker and the rain starts to fall this evening. Of course, we'll keep you updated with our meteorologists, but we'll also be out in the field making sure we're keeping you weather aware of where these issues might be rising up, and we'll be keeping you updated online as well. Live on the northeast side, Zaria Oates, KSAT 12 News.
Thank you, Zaria. Bexar County confirming a measles case. It's highly contagious, could be fatal. The steps you can take to prevent exposure and not spread the virus.
And before we go to break, we want to give you a live look at what's happening outside right now. Before we showed you traffic, now we'll give you a live picture here. 88 degrees, just looks a little, overcast out there right now, but we're watching severe weather. Our meteorologist Shelby Ebertowski is on that. She's going to have more on the timing of today's storms in just a bit.
To your health headlines, and the first case of the measles in Bexar County reported earlier this week. Officials say it's an isolated case with no current risk to the public.
KSAT anchor and reporter Sarah Acosta spoke with an infectious disease specialist about exactly what we need to look out for and also what parents in our community should know.
Concerned at all?
Oh, absolutely. And that's because he's in daycare, too.
With the first case of measles in Bexar County, Ronnie Benavides, mom to a 2-year-old, says it's something they have been keeping an eye on, especially since they have family in West Texas.
He's vaccinated, and yeah, I think it's super important for toddlers to be vaccinated.
Infectious disease specialist with University Health, Dr. Jason Bowling, agrees vaccination against the measles, especially for the most vulnerable, children under the age of 5, is their best protection. He says to look out for red eyes, cough, a high fever, and then a rash that can start on the hairline.
People are considered to be transmissible to others from 4 days before the symptoms start, with the rash starts, to 4 days after the rash starts. And that rash is really how we recognize measles.
He says even though the first reported case is isolated, measles is still a cause for concern because of the higher numbers we're seeing across the country and how contagious it can be.
If you have somebody that has measles, they're in a room, they leave the room, those droplets can linger with those viral particles for up to 2 hours. So you could be exposed walking into a room up to 2 hours after someone with measles leaves it.
Bowling says 95% of your community must be vaccinated to help protect people that might not respond to the vaccine or those who can't get vaccinated. Right now in Bexar County, we're at 94%. Other local residents say we must stay ready even if it's just one case.
Disease is disease, right? So if we found even a single case, then we should worry about this and we should prevent, and we must be vaccinated to prevent this.
Sarah Acosta, KSAT 12 News.
All right, so now let's talk about what's happening outside because we've got to prepare for so many things. There's a potential severe weather today, and obviously people are going to be traveling for the holiday, and so they need to time everything out.
Yes, and I wanted to jump straight to what you need to know, especially because people are traveling tonight or they're traveling tomorrow morning, and we have some weather to talk about. Now, like I've been mentioning, like Justin's been mentioning, or in fact, the fact that we've been mentioning all week, there's the potential for rain. Over just to the north of San Antonio, we're already starting to see some isolated rain chances and even some heavier rainfall rates up near Austin if you're traveling over there. But the main threat tonight for areas closer to San Antonio is going to be the potential for some heavy rainfall. Now, once again, it's going to be very isolated and we won't really know where that band is going to set up until it already starts to set up. But we're expecting it to mainly impact the heavy rainfall rates. We're talking about 1 inch or 2 inches per hour. That's where we're expecting to be in the Hill Country. It can go from Uvalde County all the way up to Gillespie and even getting into Travis County at some point. This is around 10 p.m. So this system is going to be an overnight rainfall event similar to what we saw a few weeks ago. But the good news is not everyone is going to see that widespread heavy downpour for San Antonio. This is about midnight, still seeing that one stretch of that heavy rainfall going all the way through Leakey, Concan, and Sabinal, and that's where we're watching. It's the Hill Country. That's where people sometimes for 4th of July go out camping, have all their 4th of July events. Now, do notice that some of the rain does enter in areas of San Antonio. I want to note it. Although we're not getting the heavy rainfall rates, we still have the potential to get some of that rain. Now, once again, 2 a.m. Still watching that bullseye for the rainfall potential in the Hill Country, even right before sunrise, starting to see it kind of dissipate at a time in a moment before then it starts to make its way into areas of Bexar County. It kind of starts to disperse, but still mostly raining on areas of the Hill Country before it becomes more widespread through South Texas along that I-10 corridor, moving through and really starting to disperse already by the evening time tomorrow as you're going out to all the 4th of July activities, and even tomorrow night around 10 p.m. A potential for some isolated showers, but tomorrow night it's really just going to feel a little muggy, a little humid at times, but we're still tracking that cloud coverage and not really any sort of rain at times. If we see anything, it's about 10%, quick shower, and then it'll be gone. But the rainfall potential, like I mentioned, in areas of San Antonio, we have the potential between that blues and greens to get up to ½ an inch, worst case for areas of San Antonio, 1 inch. But the Hill Country, like I mentioned, that's where we're watching that bullseye of the rainfall potential where they can get over 6 inches of rain. Once again, we'll keep you updated on the latest rainfall totals. I'll be here all night and we'll continue to keep you updated. But tomorrow night for the 4th of July, 30% chance of rain throughout the middle portion of the night or middle portion of the day. Rain chances really start to decrease overnight for the holiday, and then maybe a quick shower throughout the rest of the week, but otherwise temperatures sitting nice and comfortable.
All right, Shelby, thank you.
All right, this guy made some noise last year in the Summer League. He seemed like he was in the mix, or the Minix.
Yeah, the Minix. Yeah, Riley Minix. But unfortunately, he had a shoulder injury in the G League, so that knocked him out of NBA and G League action. But he is back, and the Spurs made him a restricted free agent, so he's pleased about that. And the Gold Cup final is all set. We're going to have that coming up. Last season, the Spurs signed forward Riley Minix as an undrafted free agent, and he spent most of the season in the G League before suffering a season-ending shoulder injury January 1st with the Austin Spurs. Now, he produced in 16 games in Austin, averaging 20.5 points per game, and that's a huge reason why the Spurs tendered him a qualifying offer, making him a restricted free agent. He's thrilled about that and pleased with his rehab.
Oh, it was great. The Spurs put some great people in place to take care of my rehab and just everything, my physical therapy, and it was a smooth process. And these last couple months, in the beginning, it was a little rough, but we got through it just like any other rehab. But it was good, and I feel confident in my shoulder, and I'm starting to show it out there. So excited. For sure. I'm blessed to be a part of this organization, and I'm glad that they want me to be here, and they gave me a qualifying offer, so I'm excited to go into next year and keep proving what I can do.
Spurs second-year forward Harrison Ingram said he slimmed down a little bit. He lost 6 pounds of fat and gained 5 pounds of muscle, and says he feels in the best shape of his life. As for his game, how's that coming along?
Just shooting and defense, as you see in the playoffs, 3-and-D players at a high premium. And, for me, I feel like I got the passing, the rebounding, the feel for the game, but just sharpening my mechanics, changing a little few things to my shots, and then just playing defense. We played one-on-one all summer. Everybody that was in the gym, literally everybody that was on the team was in the gym this year playing one-on-one. And, iron sharpens iron. There's nothing better than, me guarding Steph one-on-one for an hour, me guarding Keldon one-on-one for an hour. There's nothing else that you can simulate that would be better than that for me.
The Spurs today announced that they signed 2025 draft picks Dylan Harper and Carter Bryant to their first NBA contracts. Harper will not play in California Classic due to a minor groin injury, but Bryant is good to go. In soccer, the United States and Mexico will face off in the CONCACAF Gold Cup final. Mexico advanced 1-0 yesterday, and the U.S. topped Guatemala 2-1 to punch their ticket to the final. 21-year-old midfielder Diego Luna scored both goals for the U.S., doing so in the first 15 minutes, and Luna was named the man of the match.
You were the difference maker tonight, a first half brace. You've played with such confidence really throughout this whole tournament. Where is that confidence coming from?
No, yeah, I think it's just finding the rhythm, and I think, being able to get the freedom from the coaching staff and from the team that know that they're going to have my back, and the trust of the defensive responsibilities allows me to just do what I do on the ball.
Yeah, we could have been cleaner, I think, in all aspects, but especially in playing out of the back. I think now with this new rule that the goalies only have 8 seconds, I think it makes it a little bit tougher, quicker restarts. But regardless, we need to be sharper. Don't want to make excuses for today, but long story short, when it comes Sunday, we're going to be better.
U.S. and defending champion Mexico, they will face off Sunday at 6 p.m. at NRG Stadium in Houston for the Gold Cup Championship.
It's going to be crazy.
Oh, man, I can't wait.
Yeah, thanks, Larry.
Okay, this next thing that we have for you after the break is for all the people who are staying in town and you want fun and free things to do. Yeah, stick around. After the break, our friend Stephanie Guerra will be here with Puro Picks. Yeah, you ready? Since it's the eve of the July 4th, we're starting the party early. We're focusing on all the cool things that are happening around the San Antonio area for the next few days.
And who better to tell us about all those things than our friend Stephanie Guerra? She is here with Puro Picks. And
glad to be here.
Happy 4th of July.
Yes. Happy 4th of July.
And when you have lemons, you make lemonade, like on your shirt.
That's definitely a metaphor for every day.
All right, so the 4th of July, the city celebration taking place at Woodlawn Lake.
Yeah, so every year, obviously, the city of San Antonio gets together with the Parks Department and puts on an amazing celebration at Woodlawn Lake. And this year is no different, so you can actually go out there tomorrow. It starts at 11 a.m. Fireworks are not until 9 p.m., but I will let you know in the Woodlawn neighborhood, if you don't get there early, It's going to be really tough to get in there, really tough to get a spot. Something new this year is they're actually going to add drones to the fireworks show.
Awesome. Okay.
It'll be really neat. It's free, live music all day long. You'll see military bands, local vendors. It's really a lot of fun, and I just love that, you know, you can see downtown from there, but you're not downtown. You're still in a really good heart of the city.
It's very cool.
When some people celebrate the 4th of July, they usually say it's synonymous with hot dog eating, right? And there's going to be some of that.
So I thought this event was really neat. Tomorrow at the newsstand, which is not too far over here on Broadway, they are actually getting together all of these chefs from local restaurants that are amazing, and they're having a hot dog party, and it's actually a benefit for SNPSA. So 100% of the profits from the hot dog sales will go to SNPSA. So eating the dogs, saving the dogs.
Exactly. That's exactly. I was like, you got to make some sort of metaphor.
Yeah. So I love, you know, Curry Boys, Last Place Burger, Chef Jason Dady, Leche de Tigre, Howdy Child, Jerk Shack, and then Hot Dog Co. Those are going to be the best hot dogs you've probably ever had.
I was going to say their twist on hot dogs.
Gourmet hot dogs.
All right. You know, I went to one of the Willie concerts that was in Luckenbach.
Yeah.
On the 4th of July.
Did you Willie like it?
I did Willie like it. But it's still a tradition that's happening. They just kind of moved it around a few times.
I think it's Willie's famous 4th of July picnic is huge now, right? It's at the Germania Amphitheater. It's a great road trip. I saw y'all's special earlier about how many people travel on the road for 4th of July weekend, and Texas is so huge. You can make your way up to the amphitheater. It's about an hour away, close to Austin. Concert starts at 4 o'clock, so plenty of time. And the lineup is just amazing. Willie Nelson, of course, and his family. Bob Dylan, the Avett Brothers, the Mavericks, Asleep at the Wheel. I think and then Tammy Nielsen. Sorry. It's just an amazing day of music. You can even get, you know, lawn tickets, sit back there for pretty inexpensive. Willie's getting up there, right? We got to see him any chance we can, and it's just a really good family picnic for music lovers on the 4th of July.
It's also a very Texas thing to do.
It's very Texan.
Yeah, love it.
So we just talked about 3 events that are happening tomorrow. Let's go to Saturday, where there's something happening at La Villita.
There are so many 4th of July events that are running the whole weekend, so don't be afraid if you don't have the day off tomorrow or you can't get out there. La Villita, kind of something new. They're going to have a 4th of July party on Friday and Saturday. So this is actually, you know, Chef Johnny Hernandez manages La Villita now. He runs a lot of events there. So they're opening up Maverick Plaza. There will be live music, food, vendors. Obviously, the shops at La Villita are open. And then you can walk back and forth between the events at Hemisphere, between Market Square. There's plenty of puro 4th of July partying all weekend long.
I love it. All right. And this next one is at one of our favorite places, Pika Pika Plaza.
I love when y'all are live over there.
Yes.
So two of my amigas, they have their own businesses, Very That and Chasing Camila. And they are Latina-owned businesses, and Very That is having a grand opening for her new store at Pika Pika, which is a big deal, right?
Yes.
You know, like Pika Pika has thousands of people that visit there every weekend. If you haven't been, get down to the south side. They're having a party at noon for her new opening. They're going to have goodies, giveaways, get in line early, go check it out, stay around for all the dancing. You know, Pika Pika, you got that good pulga dancing going on there, but it's a beautiful spot in the south side.
How would you describe the Very That store?
Very That is, I mean, you could see like cute lemon things that are with a Mexican twist, right?
Love it.
Clothing, accessories, stickers, mugs, coasters that are all based on her Mexican upbringing in the south side of San Antonio. So
lovely.
It's beautiful. There's all these phrases, right? Like Echele ganas, mija, on, you know, coasters, on cards. It's a beautiful store to celebrate Hispanic heritage.
Yeah. So it's Very That.
And Chasing Camila, yes. And Chasing Camila, I think we've talked about this before because she makes the cropped Mexican tops and cropped guayaberas that I've worn on Poodle Pics before. So very excited for them to come together for that on Saturday.
So maybe you can pick up something to wear and then go to the block party.
Yes, this is really exciting to me too. A brand new event. So now the Woodlawn Theater, we've talked about this, is hosting comedy. So they're having their inaugural Deco Nights Independence Day block party. So they're going to take that whole strip of the Deco area off of Fredericksburg, and the stores are going to open up. They're going to have live music. The theater will be open 5 p.m. to midnight, and the best part is it's free, of course, right? So try something new. You know, we talked about Woodlawn Lake. This is a couple streets over at the Woodlawn Theater.
That's exactly what I was saying. You could spend all your time in the Woodlawn Lake area.
Spend the weekend there.
Yeah.
You know, there's a cute Airbnbs, I'm sure, if you don't want to drive back home 15 minutes away, you know, but I love the Woodlawn area. I love that we see so much going on over there now, and that revival is really happening, but we do need to support those small business owners so they can stay open.
Absolutely.
And I didn't pick any Sunday events, but that's because there's a million things going on for tomorrow. Hopefully people get some time off and they get to celebrate, have a good weekend, and get some rest on Sunday if they can.
There you go.
Yes.
Thank you, Stephanie.
Happy 4th of July.
Yes.
It's always good to see you.
Thank you.
Oh, we want you to stick around because up next, a unique mansion that gives off, you know, it's giving medieval. Yeah, it's up for sale. We're going to explore the history behind that local castle and also tell you why the owner's listing it.
Where's the moat?
I'll go in on it.
Have you seen this historic mansion built to look like a castle? It's in between the Fort Sam Houston area and the Pearl area.
Yeah, so you look at it, it's 5 stories tall. Digital journalist Christian Riley talked to the owner of that property to learn more about the history and also its future.
Nestled in Government Hill, one building seems to tower above the rest.
There's not a duplication of this one at all. She's definitely unique.
The price may just tower above the rest as well. It was last listed for a whopping $7 million in 2020, but its architecture and history just might be priceless. The home was built in 1894 for the ambassador to Belgium, Edwin Terrell.
He liked the idea of the castles that were there.
But with 6 kids?
But he also knew it was a family home.
After returning to San Antonio, Terrell commissioned British architect Alfred Giles to build the 5-story mansion using limestone from where the San Antonio Zoo sits today. The same quarry that was used to build the Alamo. Since then, the home has continued building on its rich history.
It has had many, many, many owners.
With its purpose changing alongside the needs of the city.
We went from a single family home and went into then this boarding house across from Fort Sam Houston. In the 50s, 60s, and 70s, it was apartments. And then another mother-daughter bought it and turned it into bed and breakfast.
Wedding planner Donna Liston bought the home in 2007.
It certainly did not look like this.
And brought it back to its former glory.
We spent 3 years restoring it. I had 30 to 50 men here every day for 2 solid years.
But after nearly 20 years of weddings, Liston is putting the house up for sale.
When we bought the house, we knew that we only had a certain amount of time here. My husband and I both have aging mothers, and it's time to get home to the Rio Grande Valley to start taking care of mothers.
While Liston is sad to be leaving, she's proud of the relationships she's built in the community.
It's that bittersweet. We're going home and I'll kind of semi-retire, but San Antonio's still in my heart.
As for what's next, Liston is looking to sell to someone who will continue the legacy of this historic property.
Just that somebody's going to come in and love it as much as we do.
Christian Riley, KSAT 12 News.
That typewriter.
You know, I just had an idea.
Okay.
Yes.
Maybe we could have like a studio there. Like KSAT could buy it. It could be KSAT Castle.
KSAT Castle.
Yeah.
I mean, I would like to go to work in a castle.
See? That's what I'm talking about. All right, now we just have to, you know, convince corporate to buy us a castle.
I mean, a castle is a castle, but tomorrow is the 4th of July. It's the day most Americans have been waiting for. Chances of rain still very low, but we're still tracking temperatures in the 90s for the fireworks. But like I mentioned, we're still tracking the potential for rain. Heavy rainfall tonight for some areas of the hill country, but tomorrow, that's when we're talking about those cooler temperatures just by a few degrees and the muggy conditions. I'll break down what you need to know for all things rain tonight and the 4th of July tomorrow, coming up after the break.
Think about it. The KSAT Castle, you could have the Weather Authority moat around it. You know, I'm trying to.
I think Kasky and Justin would love to get like on a little therm boat.
See?
Yes, a great place to be, especially if you want to get away from the weather, right?
Somebody's trying to steer us back to the topic at hand. Okay, let's talk about the weather.
Yeah, so there is the potential for some isolated rain showers and even some isolated flooding. We've been talking about it all week and we have finally arrived. Now, the greatest risk, granted, a lot of the hill country is going to be at the highest risk, but especially for people who are camping for the 4th of July. You're not in as safe as a sturdy building, but also if you're camping near waterways. That's where we're tracking, especially in the hill country, for the potential for heavy rainfall and localized flooding. So travelers, whether you're staying local or going to the hill country, remember, detour around the water. If it's dark, when we're expecting the rain tonight, it's going to be hard to see the water. So be very careful, take it nice and slow, enable all those push alerts as well through the KSAT weather app, plus be able to get government notifications such as flash flood warnings or even severe thunderstorm warnings. That way it will go through your phone, especially if you have Do Not Disturb enabled on your phone. Now, like I mentioned, we do have a flood watch in effect tonight into tomorrow morning for all those counties in green. This does include areas of Medina and Uvalde County. It does not include Bexar County, but we are still potentially getting some rain, just not as much as some areas in the hill country. Now, how much rain can they potentially see? Well, where you see those yellow colors, that's multiple inches of rain. Zooming in on areas of Bexar County on North San Antonio near Helotes, we can maybe get an inch of rain. But the bullseye, like I mentioned, that's going to be just to the west of San Antonio, near Medina County, near Uvalde, Bandera, Kerr County. That's where you can see 6 inches or more of rain. That's why we're telling people to be cautious, especially because if that moves ever so slightly, that could not only impact areas in the hill country, especially like Kerrville or Fredericksburg, but it could also impact San Antonio with the rainfall. Now, like I mentioned, overnight tonight into tomorrow morning, it's going to be very isolated at times, but we're still watching the potential for that bullseye right in the hill country and even in northern portion of just to the north of Bexar County. Overnight tonight, by about 10, we should already starting to be seeing some of the rain. That will go until tomorrow. It'll finally start to disperse just ever so slightly around 2 a.m., especially along the Kerrville down to Bernie and even Helotes, but we're still tracking that heavy rainfall in areas of Bandera County tomorrow morning, just about that 5 o'clock hour before GMSA starts. We're still tracking that heavier rain, but it's starting to move into areas of Bexar County, and that will continue tomorrow morning around 7 a.m. If you do have to go to work tomorrow, it will be damp. Take it nice and slow and cautious. Although we're not tracking the heavier rain, it will continue to, once again, disperse and move into areas of Bexar County right around lunchtime. But good news is it's not going to stick around too long. It's not going to ruin your Independence Day. By tomorrow evening, still tracking about 10% chance of rain, but otherwise it's going to be a nice day or at least a nice afternoon with the chance of some showers, about a 10% in the afternoon, but it's not really going to have too much of an impact for your 4th of July. And especially for America, nothing's going to stop the fireworks and the drone show.
No, thank you.
All right, here's what's coming up on ABC tonight. The U.S. and the rest of the world come together against an out-of-this-world enemy threatening to take over the globe. It is Independence Day. Will Smith, Jeff Goldblum. It's from 7 until 10 tonight. Then right after that, join us for the night meet. All right, it is time for KSAT Sports Now at 7 o'clock tonight. Streaming Monday through Friday.
Yes.
And all right, when I heard 3-and-D guy, you hear that these days, you kind of think of a throwback maybe.
Yeah, Sean Elliott.
Sean Elliott.
Yeah, so Carter Bryant is from Arizona. Of course, Sean Elliott's from Arizona. And anytime he can pump up the Arizona Wildcats, you know Sean Elliott does. And Carter Bryant has already heard the similarities of his game and just his mannerisms and everything when it comes to Sean Elliott. And I just found this out looking up their weight and their height. They're both listed at 6'8", 220 pounds.
No way.
Yes.
Both the Arizona Wildcats.
Yes. So Carter Bryant's going to be talking about, people talk to him about, hey, you seem like Sean Elliott on the court.
Can he hit a 3 from the corner of the dome on Memorial Day?
I bet you he can hit a 3 in pressure.
We have to try that.
Yes, for sure.
All right, and a big part, traditionally, you know, I miss instant replay.
Mm-hmm.
We would do hot dog eating. We would do wing eating, Twinkie eating contests.
Yeah, so we don't have a streaming show tomorrow because it's the 4th of July. So since it's the 3rd today, we're going to bring back all 3 of those eating contests. And you emceed one of them.
I did.
Yeah.
A couple of them.
A couple.
And they weren't without controversy.
They were a lot of fun.
You want to talk about controversy and Twinkies? They go together.
Yes.
KSAT Sports Now comes your way at 7.
Tomorrow on GMSA, we're getting you ready for the 4th of July.
Okay, so you can catch more coverage of stories like that on GMSA Plus every weekday beginning at 7 a.m. anywhere you stream. Shelby.
And we're starting to see some isolated showers make their way into San Antonio, but we'll keep you posted here on air and on the weather app as we continue throughout the evening.
We'll see you on the Night Beat after Independence Day.